Sacred Space, the podcast, has been recorded on Gubbi Gubbi country. Myself and guests acknowledge and pay respect to the elders past, present and emerging. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Welcome to Sacred Space, the podcast. I am Tanika, your host, and this is a space for you to tune in and become educated, evolved, and expanded on all things generational healing, personal development, and spirituality. This is a space where I'll get beautiful, like-minded guests on to speak into their stories and their wisdom, as well as hearing mine. So take a big, deep breath into your belly, get anchored, get grounded, and let's get into this week's episode. Hello, and let's get into another episode today. I'm so excited that you're here. Welcome if it's your first time, and welcome if it's your not first time, whether you've listened before or not. I love you so much, and I'm so excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today. So this conversation today is about balancing getting things done, but also honoring your period. And this conversation is, I feel like people get really confused by this because it's a common belief that like if you honor your menstrual cycle, it means that you are just in that like feminine energy of like flow and trust and surrender, and you're like not actually also getting things done. But I want to bring this conversation up so that you can understand you can still work your 9 to 5, you can still get things done and like live your life. It's just about understanding what the energy of this phase of your cycle is actually calling in from you and how to work with it. We're firstly going to begin with a quote of the week, and this quote is, "Do not let things that have hurt you turn you into a person you are not." And I just read this and I was like, I think that's a really cool quote, because so many times people can get hurt by other people, or situations can happen, or, you know, things are projected onto them and they just allow it to shape them. They allow themselves to play into the identity that other people are putting onto them, or whatever it might be, whether it's like a past pain that they've been through or like a trauma that they've been through, and it's easy to get stuck in that. And I just want that quote to just really bring to light, like, where are you allowing your pain to actually be your driving force and not actually just coming from your authenticity? So don't allow your pain to I already forgot the quote. Do not let the things that have hurt you turn you into the person you are not. Anyway, let's get into this episode. So today we're going to be talking about balancing getting things done and honoring your menses, which I think is a really cool conversation. I firstly just want to add, I do have a free downloadable cycle chart that you can download that is just like a really basic tool for you to like print out, hang up on your wall. It's just got a little bit about each phase of your cycle so that you can have a look at it each and every day and get to know your cycle. So that's just one thing for you to get on board with, if you haven't already. And secondly, I have a masterclass called Inner Seasons, the Masterclass. It's all about the inner seasons. So I go into every phase of our menstrual cycle in that masterclass. It's only $22, and it's a really cool tool for you to understand what's going on in each phase and to begin to understand how to sync your cycle with your life. In this episode, though, we're going to be speaking about just our period. So the first phase of our cycle, which is the time where we are being called into rest. We're being called inward. We're being called to really let go of things and to set ourselves up for a new cycle. And the way that you can honor this phase is by resting, is by slowing down, is by going within, listening to your intuition, you know, really going into that space of just your own energy, your own little love bubble. I also understand though that this might not feel like it's something that you can yourself actually like live up to, because your life might feel really busy or really hectic. You might have kids running around, you might have a really full-on job, things like this that can sort of feel like they get in the way, so that it might feel like for you that you're not allowed to cycle sync. It's not available for you. And I just want this episode to really allow you to feel seen in that you actually can still be someone who lives in alignment with your cycle, whether your life is hectic or not. I want to tell you like a little bit of a story around like what used to happen to me versus me now. So I used to work a just like normal job in retail, and I would work a lot of night shifts, and I would get more ovulation pain, although I still got cramps with my bleed time, particularly when I did have the copper IUD. But I would get these cramps and I would just feel so shit at work. I remember it would take my focus off. I would get emotional if customers were rude. It was just, I felt all over the shop. I really didn't feel myself, and I would just feel so overwhelmed and cluttered in the head all the time. And it was like I was just constantly on the brink of burnout, right? In my spare time, I would feel like I just had no energy and it just didn't feel good. Versus now that I work with my cycle and I honor my cycle and I honor the phases of my cycle, I can go every single day and get things done. And I'm currently have way more on my plate now, right? Like I'm running a business as well as studying full time, as well as all the other things that come along with being in your 20s, I guess. And I don't ever feel like I'm on the brink of burnout. I don't ever feel so fucking exhausted that I'm going to die. I never feel like my period is like my period never comes and it's like an inconvenience. I understand the phases of my cycle so well, and I've built that relationship with my menstrual cycle that I just know how to work with it. And that's really what I want to bring into this conversation today, is that you don't have to continue being like past me and feeling like a scattered, chaotic, burnt out person. You can actually implement these small little practices into your everyday so that you're just feeling really good. So working with your period, it can take time because of course there's so much conditioning, there's so many beliefs, and there's all the things around that. But the first thing I want to bring to your awareness is when we're on our period, it is a time of heightened intuition. It's a time when like the veils are lifting and we can really connect in with our higher self, with our purpose, with all of those things so much easier. And that's why in this time you might find that if you have spaciousness, for example, in your job, you might find that during your period, you do have a bit more like clarity. Maybe like decisions come to you. Not decisions. Maybe like ideas come to you and you're like, oh my gosh, that's actually a really great idea. Like, why didn't I think of that the other day? And it's purely because our intuition is heightened at this time. So one way that you can honor your cycle and like get more things done when you're still bleeding is by just listening to your intuition and letting it guide you, right? Like if you are having these ideas pop into your mind, just writing them down, just sitting with them, allowing them to come through, not shaming yourself if they seem a little bit off, like just being like, okay, this is coming through for a reason, like it's here for me. Another way that you can get more done when you are on your period is by actually resting. This is the time of our energy calling us inward. This is the time of where we thrive in the slowness, right? But actually allowing yourself to get that rest. So of course, like I said, everyone can have busy lives. It can feel like you don't have time to rest. But I also guarantee that if your life is so hectic, you probably do spend a lot of time scrolling on your phone, or you probably do spend a lot of time like feeling so burnt out that you have to have like naps when you can, and you're like in that space of just feeling so overwhelmed. So it's actually about allowing yourself in your bleed time to have these pockets of rest. It could look like throughout your day, really being intentional with like every hour setting a timer on your phone or something to take 3 rounds of deep breath. It could look like going for a small walk every single morning just for a mindfulness activity, just to bring in that rest within your mind. It could look like yoga. Just bringing in these small little pieces of rest where you can implement them every single day. On your drive home from work, instead of listening to a podcast and educating yourself, turning off the podcast and simply just having silence in your mind, allowing yourself to process what has been instead of overstimulating yourself, right? It could even be, I'm just like thinking of all these ideas of how you can implement rest. And now that I'm a pro at implementing rest throughout my day, I'm like, it's actually so simple. It's a reconditioning thing. But it could be that when you're having your shower, instead of jumping in your shower and jumping straight out, you actually just don't feel guilty for taking an extra 5 minutes in there to intentionally wash your hair, or to intentionally wash your body, to intentionally feel the water on your skin and tune into your feminine energy in that way, right? Slowness is the time, like this is the energy that we are being called into during our bleed time. And you might feel really disconnected from that slow energy, and that's okay. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And it equally doesn't mean that this doesn't apply to you. It's just about deepening your relationship to your cycle. Your relationship to your cycle is like any new relationship, especially in the beginning. You're getting to know each other. You're understanding, the boundaries and all the things like that. It's just the same building a relationship with yourself. Remember that. But tuning into the slowness, right? Allowing yourself to do that, like doing things slowly. Like I said, in the shower, or maybe at work, instead of like running to the toilet, just walking to the toilet, like simply allowing yourself to just take a little bit more time. And this in turn is going to then allow you to enjoy your period and also be more in tune with your energy. And of course, it's not just your period when we're doing this. Like, we want to be working with every phase of our cycle for a completely easeful cycle. But through your period, you'll begin to notice if you are honoring your rest and you are honoring slowing down, you are honoring your intuition and your ability to just let go of things with ease, it's actually going to bring you so much easier into alignment that you probably will find that you're getting more done. And you'll be like, how am I getting even more done when I felt like I had no time to get anything done? It's just the beauty of it. It's honestly the beauty of it. And the last thing I want to leave this episode on, it's a short and sweet one, is just getting to know your cycle. And in Inner Seasons, the masterclass, it's the place to be. It's a place where you can begin to get to know your cycle. And what I love about getting to know your cycle, however you choose to do this, is it's getting to know yourself. It's getting to know what you like. It's getting to know what you love. And it's deepening your relationship to you so that you can actually show up as the best version of you. Because honestly, when we know ourselves and we can show up as the best version of us, we can attract the best relationships, we can attract the best friendships, we can attract the best things and just feel so freaking good. So as a recap, listening to your intuition, allowing yourself to rest throughout your day in pockets of time, slowing down, being so intentional with things, and knowing that you can still get things done on your period, right? So I always love to say, like, the first day of your period, to make sure that you try not to like do anything super, super crazy. Like, for example, doing a HIIT class or climbing a mountain. But you simply can still get things done. Like I said, your intuition is heightened. It's a time when you could reflect over all of your things for work, really make sure that you did tune into like the best ability that you could there, and just sitting with that, being in a space of just really sitting with it and anchoring into that and being slow and present with your work, things like that. And with your study, your assignments, right? Getting things done in the way that you can still live your life, like you can still work your 9 to 5, but it's just blending these little tips into your day so that you can still honor it, but equally get things done. So I hope you've got all that you were looking for out of this episode, so that you can understand that you can actually still get things done. You can actually still live a normal life. It's just about finding those small pockets of time to honor yourself. And it's really about understanding your entire menstrual cycle. And I also want to add, of course, your menstrual cycle is different. Like, everyone, we're not carbon copies of each other. So just remember that it is a journey. And I do have space to work with people one-on-one if you are interested, so that we can really unpack your journey with your menstrual cycle and really optimize your menstrual cycle. So just reach out to me on Instagram at sacredspace_w_tanika if that's something you're wanting to do, especially getting into the new year. And I think it's like such a cool time to optimize your health. But other than that, I'm going to leave this podcast here. I love you so much, and I'll be back in your ears next week. Hi, beautiful. Thank you so much for being a part of my podcast community. I have so much gratitude for you, and I would love to hear what you think about this podcast. Leave me a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or share this episode with a close friend that needs to hear it. If you leave me a review and send me the screenshot on Instagram at sacredspace_w_tanika, I will forward you access to a free guided womb healing breathwork journey and a 15% off code to purchase any masterclasses or courses available on my website. All you have to do is leave me a review, send me the screenshot on Instagram at sacredspace_w_tanika, and I'll forward you access to the free guided womb journey and a 15% off code. I love you so much, and I'll see you next week.